Hello, people of the internet. Ian Altozar, the Freedom Astrologer, once again here, and this time bringing you a dose of more practical and earthly freedom. And we're going to look at how to sell your business with the help of astrology. So this is a pretty concise and precise topic, and we're going to be looking at three charts, three actual meetings that happened between three parties, which I had the privilege of, analyzing later on. And for some of you who don't know, I do these topics as well. I even created a webinar, a 7-hour long webinar on this specific topic or similar topic, and how to make the best deals. And some of the concepts we're going to be discussing here are in that webinar. It's a jam-packed 7-hour long information about astrology and how to make the deals and make best deals, and there's a lot of good stuff in that webinar, so please go and check that out. It's in the link below. But let's dive in, let's dig into this, what do we have here. And we can use astrology in all sorts of ways, in practical earthly ways, and this is one of those ways. Business selling. Because, when you start to build a business, it's not always going to be, lasting forever. Sometimes you want to exit, you want to take the exit route, let's put it that way. And selling is one of those opportunities you can use. And luckily, one person knew that I kind of did these things, and they came to me and they were like, okay, so I'm selling my business, and I've had these meetings, and I want to know, which one can be the potential buyer and which ones to not waste my time on. And luckily they had the times as well, which is very, very important, guys, to have the exact times of the meetings. Let's say you are selling your business, you put it on sale, you get interest from outside of or people outside of you, showed interest, arrange meetings, and the times of those meetings need to be precise, need to be exact, as precise as possible. So write them down if you start to use this as well. And so this was the gist, basically. So this person came to me. I'm selling my business. I've had these 3 meetings. I have the times. Which one is going to be the buyer or the potential buyer, or who do I, give my time to? And I just want to mention, you can understand that right now, when astrology is a little bit, out of the ordinary and a taboo topic in society, it's harder to do these tests. But luckily, for me, I've put out, these topics before, so I've gotten the let's say, people's interest, and they know that they can come to me, and we can look at these charts from this perspective as well. So we can use astrology in this earthly realm, in this practical, business, left brain world as well. It's not only, inner wounds and, psychological issues or spiritual things. It can be used in a very, very practical way. So guys, let's dig in. We have 3 charts. We have 3 real life meetings. 2 of them actually were right in succession of each other, like 30 minutes and then 30 minutes. And the last one was a couple of days later, I think. And yeah, let's go in. So this is the first one, guys. And one of the things we do when we're assessing meetings and, potential deal makings, we're looking at both the 1st house and 7th house rulers. So these are the most important parts for us, and these are what we're going to be focusing. So the 1st house ruler, which is, when we're doing it for us, it's us. If you're doing it for a client, it's them. So the 1st house right now for us is Cancer, and the ruler is the moon. Now the 7th house, which is an interesting one here, is Capricorn, and the ruler is Saturn. So these are the ones we're focusing on. We want to know these specifically. We don't really want to look at anything else. But what about these rulers? This is the most important part, guys. The rulers, in order for the deal to be made, this is one of the first rules of this method. In order for the deal to be made, the rulers have to be in an applying aspect. So the faster moving planet has to be coming in to the slower moving planet. So this time we have the moon, the faster moving, luminary, and the slower moving Saturn. They are in an aspect, in an opposition, and in order, even before that, they have to have a major aspect as well, guys. So this is also very, very important. In this case, we have the major aspect. It's an opposition. Obviously, in an ideal world, we would want a sextile or a trine, but we can't always have that. And this time we have the opposition. So again, a good indication. But in this case, in this specific case, we can see that Saturn is on 14 degrees of Aquarius and Moon is already on 16 degrees and 39 minutes. We can say that as well. So this means, actually, guys, this is an aspect, a major aspect, but this is a separating aspect. So when we see this in a meeting chart, when we see this in a business meeting chart, we can already say, okay, opposition, yeah, maybe there were a little bit of some disagreements during the meeting, but if it's a separating one, this is one of the things that I've been really getting in my research with this is, even with an opposition, things can seem quite pleasant in the meeting because there's a connection, there's a meeting, there's an aspect between the planets or luminaries. But the most important, the juiciest of the parts here is it's a separating one. So means very, very often, or in my case, unfortunately for some of you who seeing their meeting charts and there's a separating one, 100% of the times the deal has not been made. So this is also, or this was also the case in this specific situation. The meeting went kind of well. The person was like, I don't know. They seemed kind of interested, but it was, it wasn't like, okay, let's do the deal immediately. And I can tell you, they didn't even contact the person who was selling the business later on at all. So the separating opposition, in this case, also played out perfectly in a way, and the deal between these two parties didn't happen because of the separating aspect. So I hope you got this part, and let's take on the second part or second chart as well. And this happened 30 minutes later. So guys, we're going to have quite a similar situation because, the moon moves quickly. So you can see the moon has moved a little bit, but we have the same houses or same signs, sorry. So this means we have the same rulers. Again, you can see separating opposition. What did happen in this meeting? So again, this was a little bit funny. This meeting lasted for a long time. We can say Saturn, maybe Capricorn, and this meeting lasted for a long time. The people chatted. They had a again okay time. Everything was kind of moving towards the direction of, okay, maybe let's make a deal. But again, guys, separating aspect, same story. Same exact story. The person on the other side who was interested in buying the business didn't even contact the person selling the business after at all. So there were some details that are left undecided. Maybe I think there was one of them needed to, ask something and bring information. That didn't even happen. So you can see that how that separating aspect actually works quite well, quite strongly. And if you start seeing those in your meeting charts, in your, maybe you're selling something else, and maybe you're doing something else, it still applies. If there's a separating aspect, most likely, in my case, 100% doesn't work, or the deal won't happen between those two parties. Are also important to understand. So guys, hope this now is starting to get into your brains and you start to understand what is happening here. Let's go on to the third chart, which is the very, I would say, one of the most interesting charts I've seen. And this even brought me, kind of like put me to scratch my head a little bit. But this was the last one. This was the third one. And you can see, guys, this happened a little bit later. So we have different significators. We have the Gemini ascendant, so this means Mercury, and we have the buyer or the interested party. We have Sagittarius, and they are in this Jupiter in this case. So you can see Mercury here is in the sign of Aquarius, and Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. This means there's no major aspect right now between these two parties. Weird? Okay. But what we need to also assess when we're assessing these event charts, meeting charts, deal-making charts, is retrogrades. Is one of the significators retrogrades because whenever there's a retrograde happening, things start to shift and things start to change because Mercury is in a backwards movement. This means Mercury is going back to Capricorn, and guys, it's not really in backwards. It just seems to us that it's in backwards movement in relation to Earth, but for the sake of it, let's use it's going backwards back to Capricorn. First indication, guys, that the deal might happen. Now, one of the things I really need to stress here in my research, what I've managed to see is if the planet is retrograding, going back to make an aspect, it doesn't have to be an applying aspect. So, guys, if you I followed the astrology during January, February, Mercury went back to Capricorn and went back to 24 degrees, around 24 degrees of Capricorn. And it still means there's a separating aspect. But in my, again, testing, when the planet is retrograde and going back, it's almost like the person and the people are going back in time, and obviously it's not happening literally. Please understand, I'm using a bit of an example here. It's almost like they're going back in time or forward in time, but back in sign, and they're finding a meeting place still. So this is what happened actually in this case as well. They both took some time off after the meeting, after the initial discussion of the sale of the business, and the sale actually took a very long time. It took a while. It took almost like a month to get done, and or even a little bit longer. I think approximately a month. And I'm recording this right now because I just received the news. The deal is done. It's finalized. It's happened. And when they came to me, I was like, the first two, I was like, okay, so no need to waste your time on them. They're not going to do it. The deal is not going to happen. But the last one was tricky because they came to me. I was like, okay, so there's no aspect. Okay, so that's not good immediately. Maybe not. But then I noticed, okay, so Mercury is going back. Mercury is going back, and again, it's almost like they're meeting again. They're finding some meeting almost in the future thanks to that. And I told them that there's a very, very high probability that this one is going to work out. And you should put efforts in. Again, Mercury retrograde, so this means that the seller, which is Mercury in this case, needs to put more efforts into the actual transaction, the actual sale. So this is also what happened. Like, guys, I remember I said it took more, I think it took a month and a week. Yeah, month and a week. So pretty long time to get a deal done, which was, this wasn't this huge merger of corporations. It was a sell of a small business, or the selling of a small business. So it shouldn't take that long. But I literally said to this person, okay, guy, I don't want to say the name. Okay, there's a high probability that this deal is going to be happening, but you're going to need to put more efforts in. And don't get discouraged if it takes longer, if it takes a while, but there's a high probability that this is going to happen. So this is what they did. They kind of listened to my advice, and today they finally got the deal done, business sold, 2 happy parties as well, and happy third party, happy astrologer, because obviously you're happy when your predictions or assessment of the situation is correct. And guys, I hopefully this makes sense, starts going into your brains, and you can start using this technique as well in your business life, in your practical earthly material life. And if you're interested in more of a deep dive into these specific things, I did create a webinar, 7-hour long webinar about these matters. It's in the link below. Please go check that out. And it's a recorded one, so you can learn it basically whenever you want to. And guys, I hope you really enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments below, because I like doing these more earthly practical things as well. And I'm not saying other things aren't practicable, but these are very, very left brain. We can use them in our business type astrology things that I also enjoy doing. Let me know in the comments below if it's something that is useful for you and you can use it in your life as well. And thank you very much for watching, listening. Appreciate you, and see you again soon in the next video.